Okay, this is another short video on the BEL Complex, or blue-eyed leucistic. Leucism is a condition which affects pigmentation in snakes, so let's just review that briefly before we talk about some of the genetics. One of the conditions that affects snakes is called albinism, and this is a lavender albino. And what albinism does is remove melanin. It removes the black pigments in snakes and leaves behind just the reds and yellows. So this albino here is a very light coloured snake, and it has pink eyes. When we remove melanin, it leaves behind pink eyes. So this is what albinism is. And this little girl here is an exanthic, and exanthic is a condition that removes the reds and browns and just leaves a black and white snake. Not completely, we still have some browns in this snake, and it will brown out as it gets older, but initially, especially when young, exanthism removes the reds and the yellows. Now this snake will have black eyes, obviously, but this is an example of exanthism. Now, leucism affects all the pigments of a snake, and so what you see is what happens when a lot of the pigment from the snake is removed. So we've removed the yellows, we've removed the reds, we've removed the blacks, and basically there's nothing left, so we're looking at a white snake. When you do that, the eyes on this snake, I don't know whether you can see properly in the video here, but the eyes of this snake are blue. Now that's what happens when you remove most of the pigment. And you'll also see that the head still retains a small amount of pigment, so it doesn't completely remove all the pigment, it just interferes with a lot of the pigment. So this guy here is our blue-eyed leucistic. This is actually a super lesser. And this is a white snake, but not all leucistic snakes are white. This guy here is a vanilla crystal, and crystal is Mojave and special, which are both part of the blue-eyed leucistic complex. This snake does have blue eyes, but isn't completely white. Some of the pigment has gone, but we've added vanilla to this snake, which is a colour enhancer. So leucism takes away some of the pigment and vanilla enhances what's left. Mystic potions are also the same. They are part of the blue-eyed leucistic complex, and when you mix mystic and Mojave, you get a mystic potion, which again is not a completely white snake, but you do get an allelic response and a snake which is not the normal colour. Leucism affects all the pigments in the snake to varying degrees. So these are examples of snakes in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, and what we're going to be looking at is trying to make a white snake. So we're going to make a blue-eyed leucistic, and as we've seen, not all of the blue-eyed leucistic complex produce white snakes. They are still leucistic and they have blue eyes, but not necessarily a white snake. So what we're going to do here is to produce probably one of the commonest of the white blue-eyed leucistic snakes, which is a lesser Mojave. And fortunately for us, there's no sex link this time, as there was with the banana, so it doesn't matter which is the male and which is the female. Sex is totally independent and will be 50-50 in any of the pairings. So we're going to use one of the pair is going to be a lesser, carrying one copy of the lesser gene. One of the parents is going to be Mojave, carrying one copy of the Mojave gene. And note that because these genes are in the same complex, they are occupying the same genetic address on the genetic code, which means that they will act like a super in the pairing, so we can treat them together. So we have one lesser, we have one Mojave, and as usual we're going to use our Punnett square. We split the genetic material from each of the parents in half, because each parent is only going to supply half of the genetic code for the new offspring, which means that there are 4 halves and only 4 potential outcomes. So here we go. Let's see what happens when we pair a lesser to a Mojave. Let's take this half of this parent that is not carrying any copies of any of the genes. We pair it to this half of the other snake and we get 1 copy of Mojave. We take this half of this parent and pair to this half of this parent, and this time we get no copies. There are no copies on either half of the genetic material from either parent, so this is going to be a normal. We take this half of the genetic code from this parent, which is carrying 1 copy of the lesser gene, and we pair it to this half of this parent, and this time we get one copy of Mojave and 1 copy of lesser. This is the super form. They do occupy the same address or locus on the genetic code. They are allelic, so we have the lesser Mojave blue-eyed leucistic. This is our white snake. We take this half of this parent and pair to this half of the other parent, and this time it's just 1 copy of lesser. So the outcome in this pairing, lesser to Mojave, we're going to get 1 Mojave, 1 lesser, 1 normal, and 1 effectively a super form, which is our blue-eyed leucistic. So you have a 1 in 4 chance of any of the offspring from this pairing being a blue-eyed leucistic. Now the interesting thing about this guy here, the allelic complex, is that once we have created our blue-eyed leucistic, and here it is in this parent, this combination acts as a super, which means that when we split the genetic material in half, each half of the genetic material is carrying 1 or other of the genes. So all the offspring are going to get 1 copy of 1 gene or the other, and we will get no normals when we breed a blue-eyed leucistic to a normal. So let's do that pairing and see what the outcome is. So here is one parent, which is a blue-eyed leucistic. Here is the other, which is a normal. So we take this half of this parent and pair to this half of the other parent, and we get 1 copy of lesser. Pair it to this half and we get 1 copy of lesser. And we take this half of this parent, which is the blue-eyed leucistic, and this half of the genetic code is carrying the Mojave gene. We pair it to this half of the other parent and get 1 copy of Mojave, or to this half of this parent and get 1 copy of Mojave. So in this case, when we pair the blue-eyed leucistic, a lesser Mojave, we are going to get 50-50 in the offspring. We will get 2 out of 4 lessers and 2 out of 4 Mojaves, and we will get no normals.